Good afternoon. Thanks for being with us on WKYT at 5:30. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Mariah Conjito. Amber Philpott has the night off. Well, a massive technology outage has swept major services worldwide, disrupting public transport, delaying international flights, and restricting operations for healthcare facilities and businesses.
And led to a lot of confusion today about what was going on. The glitch is connected to a global IT outage that also affected airports, banks, even 911 emergency services. The outage appears to stem from a software update pushed by cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. Part of what made this outage such a big deal today is its impact on travelers.
Yeah, that's right. WKYT's Jessica Umbro spoke with flyers at the Bluegrass Airport about how they're holding up while many are waiting out hours-long delays. It's our top story at 5:30.
There are worse places to be stranded, but we would just like to get home. We're tired.
Renee and Zach Kingsland are just trying to get back to Texas, but they're just one of many dealing with the effects of the global Microsoft outage.
Yeah, we just been chilling here, just kind of wondering what to do.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem was because it was a technology outage, we weren't able to even log into the app or get any information.
The Bluegrass Airport may not be as large as others in the U.S., but it is a hub for connecting flights.
Although they are starting to depart again, it's just kind of that catch-up game throughout the remainder of the day.
Whenever we see high foot traffic at the airport, whether it be for a major holiday or a major outage like this one, tensions can run high. Luckily, travelers that I've spoken with say that they're encouraging everyone to practice patience and to roll with the punches.
This is a situation that is not something that they can really help. It's something that we just have to wait out, and I think that it's not their fault. So I really want them to just give a little bit of grace.
Mackenzie Marshall is traveling to Orlando to compete in a pageant and says those who are working at the Bluegrass Airport are just trying their best to keep things running smoothly.
I was a little bit nervous, but thankful to the staff that they really calmed everybody down with their nerves. They were really helpful, and lots of information was given to us, and I'm really thankful for that.
And while travelers are spending more time at the airport than they'd hoped, there's been more time to think about how one outage can impact so many.
We rely on technology so much, and when the technology is not there, you just don't know what to do because you use your phones for everything.
At Bluegrass Airport, Jessica Umbro, WKYT.
And those impacted by today's delays and cancellations are encouraged to reach out directly to the airline to determine alternate plans, such as booking a new flight or figuring out lodging if necessary.